Well, it's Friday the 17th of August. A warm welcome to new and recent subscribers, and regular listeners are always well met, 3 times over. I have a cup of chamomile tea with me, and Dr. Benelin has been soothing my chesty cough. This is episode 1819 of Permanently Moved, a personal podcast, 301 seconds in length, written, recorded, and edited in 1 hour by me at the JMO. So this is the first week in my adult life that I haven't been home to Broadstairs Folk Week during August. For those that don't know, Folk Week is a traditional folk music and dance festival. You can find the folk at the beach in the pavilion, impromptu sea shanties on the pier, circus skills and performers on the sands, or jazz club at the sailing club. It's in the town's historic Crampton Tower and the modern Baptist Centre, as well as in every pub and cafe on the high street. There's usually 70 plus events a day, and most of them are free. It really is a festival like no other. And of course, growing up round there as a teenager, you could spend all day and all night chain smoking and drinking on the beach, in the park, or at a venue. I had a lot of great times. But what I really wanted to talk about was the idea of going home for this festival. Because when I first moved to southwest London 15 years ago, I would have said that it was a place that I escaped from. When I was doing my GCSEs or AS levels, I don't remember which, my English teacher, Mr. Ratcliffe, described Broadstairs, or rather the Isle of Thanet where it is located, as like the Isle of the Tempest. You're either born there or you wash up on its shores never to leave. Which of course is a cheery thing to say to a 16 or 17 year old. But again, let's talk about home. There's no place like home. You can travel the world, but the thing that you're looking for is usually found at home. Home is not a place, it's a feeling. My friend says that home is the place in the world that they have to let you in if you knock on the door in a storm. T.S. Eliot said home is where one starts from. Now I'm not sure, but these to me feel and sound like platitudes. Perhaps I'm suffering from nostalgia in its truest meaning of the word, nostos, or homesickness. But can this really be true? At 33, the place that I fought so hard to escape from is drawing me home. Perhaps Mr. Ratcliffe was right. For those that were born and grew up in London, like Eve, the star of cities all is home. But Thanet and Broadstairs, with its cliffs, the sea, the sky, the stars, feels like a real place. Much more real than London, weirdly. But as I sit here and record this podcast, I'm thinking to myself, perhaps I'm talking bollocks, because it's also a place of grey skies and sideways rain. And despite what the hipsters will tell you, Margate certainly isn't and will ever be Shoreditch-on-Sea. It's also funny that the artists that I know that want to move or have moved to Margate have only ever been in the summer. Walk up the high street on Christmas or Boxing Day, and I think you'll change your mind about moving there. But despite all that, as Ptolemy's geography says, Toliapis, a small island on the east coast of Albion, opposite the country of Trinobantes. Or it is Thanatos, the island of light, or alternatively, Inyas Thanatos, or the Isle of the Dead. I prefer the former, whose Welsh Gaelic etymology means fire or bonfire and height. This is suggestive of a lighthouse or a burning cliff, and I grew up 10 minutes walk from North Foreland Lighthouse. It is the northernmost point on the southeast of England. It's a point where the Channel meets the North Sea. And growing up in Broadstairs, there was a bookshop, now a pub, that's also a bookshop, called The Chapel. It was the shrine of Our Lady, Star of the Sea. A building dating back to at least the 1350s. However, there was a shrine known to have existed on the site in 1070. The shrine of Our Lady of Bradstow, a statue of the Virgin Mary mounted on a tall column, positioned so that she faced seaward. It is known that most coastal towns and villages displayed some kind of beacon on the high points of their coastline as a warning against the potential hazards known locally to shipping. Thus, the medieval times, this chapel of St. Mary was known as the Chapel of Blue Light, for a light was given into the dark seas through a blue glass lantern. It was also not without its miracles. At some stage, the statue was placed inside the chapel, and thereafter, local seamen came to refer to it as the Weeping Virgin. Hot weather, it is said to have caused humidity and the condensation in the chapel which settled on the face of the Virgin, and caused the figure to appear to weep. This effect was considered by the religious mariners as a bad omen, as a storm would often follow, and thus the atmospheric changes indicated in the chapel was a good rough guide to those who would face the perils of the sea. And in fact, the motto of Broadstairs as a town is simply Stella Maris. And perhaps that's what I miss the most about home, is the horizon, the star of the ocean, and the portal of the sky. That's all I've got time for this week, because I'm feeling a bit weird, and I think this episode's a bit weird too. But I do hope that you'll join me again next week for the next episode of Permanently Moved, a podcast in 301 seconds.